Good afternoon, guys. It's a few days later. I got the firewall tacked in last time I was here, and we went ahead and tried to put the body on the frame. So originally I tried to do just the firewall and this rear plate back here. I'm not sure what they're called. I can't remember. I found the parts on JBug, but I bolted these down first, and then I was going to try and put the whole body on top of that. However, when we went to go do that, I realized that these pieces right here have this little lip that needs to go underneath the heater channels. So we put the body back on the boards over there. My other buddies were waiting for me. They held up the heater channels in place, roughly where they were going to go. And so while that was being held up, I threw just a couple of tacks here. I tried to put tacks here, but it looks like they didn't hold very good. And a couple of tacks back there, just to keep them in place until we got here. And now that I have them in place, it looks like up front we got it kind of lined up, but it looks like back here we need to get further over. I'm not sure yet if this corresponds with the edge of this. That would seem to make sense, but I can tell my bolt holes are pretty far off there right now. It's tough because the rust was so bad that I lost this whole bottom edge right here for me to be able to tell where the edge was. But I can definitely tell from the bolt holes that I'm way off on that side. And I can also tell from over here of the same issue. You can look back here and see this wide open gap into the heater channel. So I'm going to guess that this is supposed to line up by getting further over here. Part of me wonders if these are supposed to get moved further over because we have quite a bit of overlap here. However, it looks like they bend at the right spots here and here. So it's kind of hard for me to... I think that they must be in the right spot, and the heater channels are what has to move over. I mean, it's easy enough for me to go back and weld a plate on here, weld a plate on to fix any of this. But like I said, I really think I got to get that further in. Then for our front firewall, after we got it tacked up, you can see we're not quite sitting right on the pan here. There's a little bit of a gap going all the way up and around. We're kind of close left and right, it looks like. But now that I have these all sitting in place, my game plan is to cut all these tacks down the middle so I can move it left and right better. Basically cut all my tacks all the way around and try and get them until it's lined up. I can put the bolts in the base up under here and make sure that everything looks like it's sealed where it is. Once we finish doing that, we have those all lined up. Then I'll go ahead and we have it tacked up so it's not going to move. Not so it's totally welded in, but just enough that it's tacked in. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut these braces off the door and then try and fit the doors back into place and make sure that they fit. Because if they don't fit right, then, you know, we're going to have to cut tacks and get the ratchet straps out to try and get it to bend where we need it to. But anyhow, I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye. All right, guys, a couple days later, I'm back out here on the Beetle again. I got my welds cut in here. I noticed I still got a little gap all the way across the bottom there. I'm not sure just how tight that used to be. I can't seem to get it any lower because there's a lip under here that sits under this. And it seems to help kind of keep it up in the air. But there's a lip going through to the back side, so it should block air. So I'm going to be pretty content with that. That pillar over there looked like it came together pretty nice. I'm pretty happy about that side over there. This side's starting to give me a little bit of concern though. You can see I don't have too much to work with in terms of reference. I am up maybe about 1/4 of an inch or so from where it used to be there. And I'm up a good 3/8 to 1/2 an inch at least here. I just measured it against the door inside there, and so right now I got a measurement of 24 inches from here to the crook up here. When I measured it on the door, 24 inches was from here, was basically to the bottom of the door down here. So I think I'm going to try and see if I can get this jacked up a little bit. I'm going to guess that probably twisted at least a little bit when we were moving it. I think if you're ever doing this, I would definitely recommend trying to put a brace from this pillar to that pillar over there. So I'm going to see if I can get that jacked over and see what I can do from there. But I'll catch you later. All right, went ahead and threw a 2x4 under it with the jack. So I think I'm going to try and tack that down, try and hammer it down maybe a little bit closer, a little bit better of a bite. You know, sadly, it's so deteriorated, I just don't have that much metal to grab onto. Another cause of concern is I noticed, well, I got a little bit of bite in there to get some weld in those top ones, but doesn't, I don't know. I'm not sure how far it was up the heater channel before. So anyhow, all right, I'll report back in a little bit. Hopefully I'm not totally screwing the geometry on this as I'm trying to jack it up, but I know that heater channel was tight on there before, so I must be somewhere in the right direction. Alrighty. All right, guys, finishing up here. Just finished up eating dinner. I got these heater channels welded in. Probably can't see it too well because it's a little late tonight, but I got a couple of tacks in here. I cut the brace in between the door here, and I have to lift the door to close it, which is obviously not where you want it long term, but it does in fact latch. Now I'm assuming that the reason that it's you have to lift the door to close is because I have it up on the stands right here right now. So I imagine once it actually got down on its tires, it'll be doing a little bit better, but it at least fits in the door frame well. So I take that as a victory. So even if I have to shim out the bottom hinge down here, at least that way I should be able to lift the door, position the door any which way. But the fact that it still latches tightly inside of its frame, I'm going to say it hopefully didn't warp. Now this is the driver's side. The driver's side I was a little bit more confident, definitely didn't warp. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I think the passenger side was the side that had potential to have twisted some, but I put that block up on the jack. I lifted that pillar up a little bit more and got it pretty close. So I feel confident that that's reasonably close to where it is. So I'm hoping maybe we'll get that one cut out and test that door, but not tonight. Well, guys, it's the next day, and it looks like we have a success. Got the next door on. Oh, there we go. Fix the camera. Looks like we got the frame just right. I guess jacking it up was the right call because it looks like we can open the door. No problem at all. All of our, hell, even our gap looks halfway decent. Not bad for an amateur job, so I'm going to say that our supports worked. So now that we know that the doors worked out all right, now it's going to be the long job of getting everything welded in place. So now I can come in here, start welding all these tacks, replace all these spot welds we had before, try and get much better connection back in here and get the whole firewall in place and pull these doors off. And once we do all that, then we can go ahead and start fixing, you know, rust patches down here and all the other kind of nonsense that, but at least we will finally have had the structural components fixed, which was my big stress. So we got the structural components fixed without any twisting. Looks like everything's pretty well lined up. So our next go round will be to pull this body off and start doing more welding.